But we're still in this thing.
Like a dream, you walked into my life just like a dream.
Hello everyone, this is Ellen the Marvelous, the movie Gangstar, and I'm here in the next part of From TV Show Review Breakdown Collection, The Final Judgment. And as I promised, in this review I'm going to discuss on the underground tunnels and show you some clues and facts on where these tunnels could be. I'm going to zoom on Jade and Tabitha, especially on Jade to see what's really going on with him and what is his true purpose for him in Fromland. And I will discuss on all types of entities and monsters we see and know in this story. And after all, I'm going to take another look to the Season 3 finale scene where the man in yellow enters and kills Jim in cold blood in front of his daughter, Julie. And in this very review, I have decided to take a deeper look towards the story and narration through Jungian theories of dreams and archetypes and their connection to the collective unconscious. First, please hit the thumbs up and like the video and share the link to your friends and community. Subscribe to support my channel, and as my reviews all are connected somehow, don't forget to push the notification bell to be informed of all of my reviews, videos and breakdowns as I uploaded them. Okay, let's begin from the exact point we ended in our last review. As I was discussing on how Victor planned all the massacre in the colony house at Fatima's anniversary party, I mentioned on a monster who wears a wedding gown, and we see her in that night by the colony house too. And in Season 2 pilot episode, as Victor and Tabitha were walking through the underground tunnels, Tabitha found a suitcase in a corner, and as she opened the suitcase, there was a wedding gown which attracted Tabitha's attention. Also, we saw Tabitha found a suitcase and a bright gown inside, and for a while she gazed on that, and we saw Victor ask her to move forward and asks her to leave the dress behind. I bet at that exact moment Victor found her point of weakness and doubt on her marriage more than before, especially after her dream of lighthouse and seeing Jim hanged upside down at the top of the lighthouse. Points to the Hanged Man Tarot card, which is all about sacrifice and being sacrificed. And in some episodes earlier, as we see Jade and Jim both into the forest looking for a tall tree to try the radio tower, Jade is abusing Jim. In reality, asks him to climb up the tree. He is so egotistical. But Jim accepts to climb up the tree. Jade puts his hand on the tree, and all of a sudden, he sees the symbol for the second time. And then there is blood showering down the tree on him, and his hand is covered by blood. It all happens when he touches the tree, maybe as an ancestral tree. As he raises his head up, there are some skinned bloody human bodies upside down the exact same tree Jim has climbed to try the antenna. We saw a French one-eyed soldier chasing him to kill him. Who knows, maybe this was Jim in another lifetime who attacked Jade and killed him, and now he needs to be killed, and vice versa. And remember, Jade saw that symbol in Root Cellar for the first time. The exact same place where Victor met his mom and sister for the last time. In Season 2 Episode 5, Jade is drunk, looking into Christopher's photo deeply, and all of a sudden he could see him in front of himself having this smile as he was showing him those symbols drew 3 times as they were spitting blood off. As the symbol was repeated on the notebook for 3 times, I think Jade has done wrong 3 times in his past lives, and now he has to pay for that. In Season 3 episode finale, we see that Jade and Tabitha found that they have been here before to save their own child who they have had sacrificed in their past life. It seems Tabitha is Miranda and Jade is Christopher. We have heard from Victor that Christopher was talking to the boy in white, and this was the boy in white who was convincing Christopher to kill the boy. Now there will be a question here. If Christopher could see the bow in white, why Jade never saw the bow in white? And don't forget that Jade only had visions, and it seems they have been all sacrifices who have connected to Jade from his weird visions. Here I need to get you all back to the underground tunnels and discuss a little on that special place I know you all interested in. Back to Season 1 final episode, we saw as Tabitha was digging the ground into the basement, the ground opened, she fell down into a dark dungeon, and right after that, Victor arrived as had a flashlight, and in Season 2 first episode, they both have a mysterious journey through that dungeons and dark tunnels, where was full of garbage and old and rusty crabs. As Victor and Tabitha were walking through the dark tight tunnels, there were monsters lying in a corner sleeping deep as useless dolls. And meanwhile Victor's eyes rolls on the freaking dummy doll, it scares the hell out of him and runs shocked. And through the way they entered an extended hall with some bunny cages around. And as Tabitha points the flashlight to one of that cells, a creepy girl appears there smiling. It seems they wanna play a game and roll the ball towards Tabitha, and here this is Victor who reminds to Tabitha that she should not put the light on them. Now just guess, why shouldn't she point the light towards them, and why this tunnel is so dark? Next time, this is Jade who is entering the tunnels and there is nothing around. Just empty dark tight corridors, and at the end there was that extended hall where those hungry children appear around him. This is exactly happens when Jade points his flashlight towards the entangled tree roots and again finds the symbol shaped by tree roots at the top, and at the same time he sees those creepy hungry children who seem to be in connection with that symbol, also with Jade. Jade could see those children circling round him lying on staffs saying hungry as they have gazed their creepy eyes towards that symbol. After a moment they are gone and vanished like an illusion. And again this is empty tunnels all around him and there is nothing to see but his flashlight beaming. It seems that those tunnels are empty and everything Jade saw was due to an illusion or maybe projection. It seems as Jade is obsessed with that symbol, he is projecting that symbol everywhere in front of his eyes. We found that in Victor's childhood days, it was Christopher who was seeing this symbol over and over again, which ended up him being crazy and after all that massacre in the town. However, this is something Victor is telling to others. Who knows what really has happened to the town in between. In Season 3, again this is Victor who is going deep into the tunnels to find the dummy doll, and in this journey this is his father Henry who is accompanying him. This time Victor is using toy soldiers to mark the way back through the corridors. There is nothing around and even Victor is curious about that. And again at the end of the tunnels in that exact extended hall, it seems there is a tea party going on. Henry could find Miranda's sweatshirt shocked, and as they are about to leave, this is that woman from Monsters who is reminding Victor next time he will be one of them and has to stay there with them. It seems Victor is in danger and monsters are threatening him after all. But why they have to do that? Isn't it because of the Smiley's rebirth they want him to cover up for them? Where is the underground tunnel where appears to everyone in a different form and setting? Why when Jade visits the tunnels is nothing around and is all empty, but for Victor and Tabitha is full of junks and crabs? Also for Henry as he follows Victor's lead. It seems Tabitha and Henry saw those crabs and junks into the tunnels just because they both were following Victor. But as Jade was on his own all alone, there was nothing inside the tunnels as an empty space. In some of my other last reviews on From TV show, I mentioned on Carl Gustav Jung and his famous theory of dreams and collective unconscious. And now I'm going to refer you to one of his own dreams which he has analyzed in his own book, The Man and His Symbols. In this book, Jung talks about his dream, seeing himself entering inside the dungeon from their home's basement, which seems has a religious medieval design, some books and stuff, skulls and bones he sees, and after all, he leaves that tunnel scared to the outside. Jung tells his dream for Freud and asks him to interpret that for him. And this is all about some old beliefs which he needed to release in order to create his new path. And those stuff he saw there in his dream were all about his fears and weaknesses which they had to release. Now let's have a check on creatures we see in this stock Fromland. In this Fromland, we have two types of creatures around. The first group are monsters. They are looking like a human being, smile as kind, harmless civilian, walking towards you so friendly, sometimes so familiar, and after all, they offer you a hand of clash, or a hug of murder, or a kiss of sacrifice. These pale monsters, whom are different civilians with different job and responsibilities. There are two nurses, as there is a milkman but not a bartender, and a cowboy, bride and groom, Jasmine, and the most famous Mr. Smiley, and also a granny. They all have physical bodies as human beings, but suddenly they turn into monster creatures and tear you apart. And if you look deeper into all their sacrifices, they all have lost their hearts too. But it seems for each Fromlander there is a monster with some specific profession. I also remember in season 1 when Jade enters the bar for the first time, Tim the bartender claimed that it was him who has turned the gas station into a bar to make it more useful for people to kill time together in stock. And it seems there was not a bar in that Fromland before Tim arrived to this stock Fromland. Here, there is no sheriff station but a post office which seems to be useless because there is no connection with the outside world and they are using it as a sheriff station, which exactly seems to me like a domination center. Also, there is an elementary school which now is useless and has turned into a clinic. It seems a place of knowledge, a school has turned into a clinic, a place for cure and remedy. Maybe there is something not right that we are not aware of that. And there is a church in between which seems has been existed there from many years ago. And the funniest, there is a motel neon board, but there is no motel in disguise. Like a movie set, maybe like a dollhouse. A place where you sleep in someone's pillow to see her dream, or wear someone's clothes to become someone else. And we see these monsters come from underground tunnels which look like the deepest and darkest parts of our memories, which have been buried deep into our unconscious. Our fears and flaws, everything we have feared to reveal, or maybe our darkest lies and pettiest actions which we knew always were unforgiven, as their dirty little secrets. These monsters are the exact projection of their own shadows, and deep lies and fears are visualized into these monster creatures. From the other side, we have some other creatures we call entities like Ankui children, the one-eyed French soldier, kimono lady whom seem to be like ghosts, or only projected images as illusions at first, but after a while and at the end of the season 3, we see them visualized into human body and now are embodying those entities in flesh. And at that same time, we are facing with a pregnancy based on a dove turns into birthing to a monster baby who is no one but the reincarnation of Dead Smiley monster. It was Boyd who killed this monster, and it was also Boyd who transferred his blood.
My blood is your blood now, motherfucker.
Into his soulless body and called him the same blood and a mother effer. And now Smiley has reincarnated from the womb of his own daughter-in-law, and we can call him his grandson. And then at the sequence finale, we have Julie and Jim by the RV, and there is an old man, looks like the monsters with black eyes, the well-known man in yellow who humiliates Jim in front of his daughter and after all kills him in cold blood. Here I want to refer you to one of my reviews on season 3 finale. I talked about grandfather paradox. There we go. How the monster man in yellow knew Jim had obsession over Jade, and how it happened that he blamed Jim on how he let his wife digging that hole in the basement. It was all Jim's reflection of his obsessions, and that moment turned into that old envious man in yellow who looked like his father-in-law maybe. If you remember, this scene begins with Jim says this dialogue.
Sometimes I remember what it was like when it wasn't like this. It was like before.
And if you remember, this was the exact dialogue when he said in pilot episode, and they entered this stuck road, and at that moment he mentioned on visiting Tabitha's parents and her worrying of her parents don't like Jim. And as Tabitha is quiet, Jim convincing himself says they liked me and it was not bad. And it seems now Jim is reviewing everything maybe to the beginning point to where they met Tabitha's parents. And there we go, the old man in yellow. In this Fromland, all monsters are projection of their own fears, all based on a lie and manipulation. Who knows who projected those fears and created all those monsters at the first place? Was that person Victor? Maybe Victor was the one who started all that from the beginning point. Maybe by a dirty little lie and then turned into a bigger and in a more realistic way. Taking a look to the final scene in season finale when Boyd is desperately looking to the scene on the deepest darkest part of the underground tunnels when the smiley monster is resurrecting from his own blood and generation, and he has only a useless gun in one hand and a torch as the light to explosion of reality in another, all caused by his own doubts and fears and hidden feelings and secrets manifested into that dark soulless creature who he was afraid of the most. What will be more than that to break a man's soul shattered into pieces, especially when he is thinking of all his falsehood and hidden secrets and mistakes he never had enough courage to face with at the first place? How we will be able to save others when we still needed to be saved? Of course, you can't save them all. You first need to save yourself, because the only one who can save you is you, and always there is a need to face with your own shadows and flaws first. It's all about self-reflection, but in a wrong way, of course. Boyd was married to a white military woman, a Navy, and as we have found, his wife was so strong, brave, and had a high self-esteem also, and Boyd always knew that. We know that it was Boyd's wife who was working in the Navy who has bought a boat for him. As seems he is dreaming of having a boat, and we see as Abby gives him the keys to the boat they face with the fallen tree in the middle of the road. And in season 3 episode finale, we see the entity who was controlling the Polaroid camera sent him a photo of the house and boat he had in his dreams to trigger his past sorrow and dream. And exactly after that, we see Boyd is attempting to torture Elgin to the death to find Fatima's address. And after all, we see Sarah enters the scene and finishes the job for Boyd, as she believes Boyd shouldn't be broken by a nefarious thing like that. After all, Boyd now is the grandpa monster. We have to cheer him up then. The devil is here to collect, and Jim, as the wisest person in town who never got drunk to lose the opportunity to protect his family, now will be sacrificed of this rigged game. And now, what if it turns into another dimensional time travel for Jim instead Tabitha in season 4 for a deeper introspection and self-reflection? Because I believe everything happened after Jim's reminiscing that moment in the RV is not the true version of what happened into the reality. Absolutely, the show ended when Smiley Monster came back as a family member, smiling deeper and stronger. And here, who can discuss on who the protagonist or hero was in reality? Who was the winner? Still too many words to say, too many facts to talk about, but as I don't like to make it long and boring, I'm going to keep this subject up and discuss on that in another review. Especially, I'm going to talk about Martin as well. Have you ever seen yourself inside a hall chamber full of torches or lights, as you can see your own shadow in different variations and hues on the walls? We will talk about Martin, of course, and Chrominicle has still a long way to succeed. This is Ellen the Marvelous, the movie Gangstar, and I hope you enjoyed this review and I could lighten up some facts and clues for you in my review. Watching a movie and a TV show is not all about popcorn and fun. It's the nature of a human being learning through watching. And of course, all producers, directors, actors and creators are fully aware of this specific powerful fact of media. And they always want you audiences getting deep engaged into a universal experience of facing the deepest secrets of our own lives and react in a proper way. And always there is a message to deliver and a lesson to learn for all. In the life of reality, it works the same. Everyone can get all lessons and pass through their tests. As an awoken person, then we can say everyone can be a superhero. Because a superhero never dies, but his qualities transfer from one to another with the same capabilities, compassion and belief to the point where we call it as a word tenet. Thank you for watching my review. Please hit the thumbs up, like my video if you like my theories, and if you want to find more and like to join me in this journey as a Chrominicle, subscribe to my channel and support me. I'm crossing over movies and TV shows to follow the meaning of a real protagonist and superhero for everyone to see how become one in real life. Because this is not what is going to happen. And this unstoppable force this time shouldn't face with an immovable object. Shouldn't face with a fallen tree in the middle of the road next time, and we shouldn't repeat some past mistakes over and over again. See you in my next video. For now, love and light in peace.